Welcome everyone to another lecture video. As you can see, today's video will not be a typical video with slides, but it will be a classical screencast again. So this is why you see our studio here. This is because as we move into the last part of our lecture, or into the last part of our course, I want to focus on how we can use R to communicate our findings that we found before. So in the previous parts of the lecture, we've been dealing with all kinds of data wrangling, how to deal with data, how to do some statistical modeling. And now I want to show you how we can use R to communicate some of our findings. And actually, we can do it in a lot of different ways with R. So here in our studio, you see a classical template of an R notebook. So if you were to create a new R notebook, you would see that this would be the output. And as you know by now, you can simply click the preview button and it will show you a report, or it will show you a document. And what you can do in R is to generate a lot of different types of documents. So here, this would be a classical report. You just write some stuff. You have code chunks which are displayed in the final code. And today we want, or in this video, we want to see how we can actually tweak with the output so that what we do in the source code will affect the output format of the resulting document. So let's begin with this template that we have here. Actually, you see that this is only a preview. So here you don't actually see a result of the plot that you wanted to see. So what you want to get here is this plot. It's a base R plot. It's not that pretty, but still, we want to actually have this in our report, and we don't see it yet because this file, this R Markdown file, is not actually knitted yet. So if you click the drop-down menu from this preview button, you will see that there are multiple options. So knit to HTML, knit to PDF, or even knit to Word. PDF you probably know, Word you also probably know, and HTML is a ubiquitous data format that is present all over the internet. So basically the internet, or everything you can browse with your browser, is run by HTML together with another language which is called CSS. And what is great here in R, or in RStudio, is that we can simply create a data output, or a report output that is in the HTML format. So if I were to knit to HTML, then I can simply knit it. You will see that the R Markdown pane opens up. There will be some conversion of the report from the initial input to the output in HTML. And what you can see here is that I could open that externally. So using, for instance, my Firefox browser, I can actually open, I'm not able to click right, open that in my browser, and as you see, I've basically created a web page by means of using R. And this is what makes R so great, is that we can, for instance, create websites or easily shareable documents just by clicking a button. And so all we need to figure out is how to, for instance, change the output here. So you can see here some of the words are already highlighted in red, and this is because, as you can see here, there are these two symbols around the run button, which means that the word run is supposed to be printed in italic, as you can see here. You could also make it bold. So for instance, by using two of those symbols to the left and the right of the symbol, you could make it bold. So if you knit it again, then you will see that this is printed boldly now. And fundamentally, this is actually only all you have to do to change the output. You just need to use a symbol that is taken from the Markdown language, or more appropriately the R Markdown language, which basically is a set of all of these abbreviations you can use to, for instance, make the text bold. Or for instance, if you wanted to print some code here, so for instance, if you were to reference to a package, say tidyverse, then you could simply put these into these two backticks, renit the document, and you will see this is the classic code output. And just to show you a couple of different R Markdown commands you could use, I will mention a few important ones. So for instance, if you want to get a headline, you can simply use the hashtag symbol. So this is a headline. And then reknitting, you will see that you have a headline here. And if that one is too big for you, you can always add more. So for instance, if you put more hashtags to it, then you will actually decrease or increase the level of the headline and make it smaller that way. So if you reknit the document, you will see that each headline here will become smaller. And yeah, this is basically a hierarchy that you can use. So you could, for instance, use this for chapter headlines, this for section headlines, and this, I don't know, for the next one for subsection headline. That's the kind of the idea. Similarly, if you want to get a footnote, you could just use a combination like this. So here's a footnote. And then reknit the document again. And then you have a footnote here, which is then displayed at the bottom of this document. Lists are also really easy. You simply use these stars here. So list item 1, list item 2, and so on. Reknitting again will convert this to a list. So if you've used LaTeX or something similar before, then you know this kind of procedure that you actually type in what you mean, then throw to a compiler, and it will show you the output the way you specified it. And Markdown is kind of the same thing, but with a much more lightweight syntax. As for instance in LaTeX, you know, you will need all of these weird commands or curly braces and all of that to simply get something to change. And with Markdown, it's simple to just throw some symbols around the word, and then the word will be printed differently. That's the great advantage of that. And yeah, that's basically how you could change the appearance of a report. And if, for instance, you wanted to now change the whole format of this report, say you need a PDF file, then it's easy to simply say, okay, don't knit it to a HTML file, knit it to a PDF. Then you will see our Markdown will start to run again. And as you see here, a new window will open, and this is a PDF file now. So in the end, you can create a lot of different formats from R simply by clicking a different button. And what you see here in this ominous header, you will see that actually there are multiple formats used here. So you can always change from one format to the other. And for instance, you could add some options here to, I don't know, what's a good option? Just let's completely change the theme of an HTML document by using the pretty doc package. So for instance, if you wanted to have an HTML file with a neat theme, you could simply use the pretty doc package to specify this output. And then I think I have to knit one more time. Then you can knit to HTML pretty, and then things will look this is not what I intended to do. This is what I wanted to do. So you see this one is basically the same document, but there's already a theme applied to it. And yeah, with each output format, you can actually give options for that specific document format. For instance, if you want to only in this pretty document, you want to get a table of contents, you could say doc is true and then renit that, and you will see here, okay, you will actually get a headline, and also this table of content already has these kind of references to the specific part of the document. And yeah, so this is why HTML files are great, because you can actually have a lot of interactive parts in your document. Okay, I think these references will also work within a PDF file, but there are way more options that only work in a HTML file compared to PDF file. For instance, you could in a standard HTML document, not the pretty one, you could say enable the option code folding, and then there's a button here that can actually fold the code so it's not visible, but you can actually unfold it if you want to see the code. So this is kind of an interactive document, which is the point of the HTML file, because it's really versatile and can do that. PDF instead is a little bit more static, and this is why it's sometimes harder to work with, but still PDF files, as you probably know, are also ubiquitous, which is why you still need to be able to generate a PDF file. So it's good to be able to generate a lot of different formats from one and the same file, so you don't need to have one file for the PDF output, one file for the HTML output, and so on. And yeah, so I could now take this HTML file to throw to some server on the internet, and then my report will be accessible from the internet. And this is why the HTML file is, the HTML file is really great to share your whole report or your complete project with other people, because all you actually need to do is to throw to some server. And we can actually do that from GitHub, which we will do at the end of this video. I will show you how you can set up your GitHub Pages account, and then you simply have to push some HTML files or some other files to your repository, and then it will appear on your personal homepage. For now though, let's change the output format, because as you have already seen here, the output format is determined by this header basically. This contains the general information of our document, and if we simply want to change the output, we simply change what is written within this output section here, as we have done with the pretty document. So let's consider, for instance, looking at a Flex dashboard. So for instance, if you look at click on new R Markdown file, you can, for instance, create a new Flex dashboard, which is again an HTML, which will generate again an HTML file, but that comes with a specific layout, so you can visually arrange plots or codes or whatever to appear all in one screen, and then people might be able to interactively look at your findings or your plots or whatever. And this is why dashboards are so popular. And Flex dashboard is one simple way to create dashboards. So you could click OK here. You have already created an empty file. And if you knit this now, again, the R Markdown file will, the pane will run and will knit it. As you can see here, it's empty. So let's put in first some pages, some columns, and some rows. In the Flex dashboard syntax, it's easy to simply use the R Markdown headings or the levels of the different headings to arrange these. So if you want to get a new page, You could simply use a level 1 heading and rename the document. And then you will see here, here's already a button appeared where you can switch between pages. So for instance, I could throw a second page in here, rename the document, and then I could switch between between the two pages. So first I could fill my first page here with content and my second page with content here. And as you've just seen now, a user could simply click on page 1 to explore one aspect of your data analysis, and then after he or she is satisfied with what was depicted there, that person can switch to page 2 and see a different part of your analysis or a different picture or whatever you want to show. So again, it's a little bit interactive, and basically all you need to figure out to create this dashboard is to adapt to this new syntax, which is uses these headings. So if you want to arrange stuff in columns and rows, you can simply create columns via level 2 heading, column 2, and then you could create rows, row 1 here, row 2 here, and then you could say fill this one with code. So for instance, say hello here, and in the next column you actually only want to fill row 2 with, I don't know, plot cars again this ugly base R plot. This will not look nice in this pane here because it's really small, so I will open it with my browser. And as you can see here, I can arrange stuff into columns and rows and have, for instance, code here, or some other output here or whatever. I don't actually have to arrange it in a simple grid like this. I could have one huge picture here and then split this into 2 parts. So you're really versatile with that, and this way you can demonstrate your, for instance, your best visualization you found on a data set in really enlarged, and then some smaller plots that give additional information. So dashboards are a really great way to visually transfer some information that you found within your analysis. Okay, so as you can see here, the actually only the output is given here. I guess that's a default mode of Flex dashboards, that actually this code here is not printed, but if I use code options, I believe, if that is not disabled, yeah, it's not disabled. With code option or code chunk options, you can actually determine what part of your code chunk is displayed or not displayed. Is it only evaluated? Is it only shown but not evaluated? And so on. So here it's clear that we only want to show the output, but or not. Maybe in a dashboard you also want to have, like in a part here, you only want to have the code chunk but not its output. So you could say, you know what, I want the code to be used, so this is why I use the echo option and I set it to true. In a Flex dashboard, this is by default set to false, and I don't want to have it evaluated, so I could say evaluated to false. And if I renit that, then you see in this pane here there's only the code in here. And you can do the same thing in code chunks and reports. So if you renit this again, then you could say, you know what, in my report I only want to show the plot, I don't want to show the code. The code is not necessary for whoever I sent the report to. So I reknit it, and then you see, okay, the code is not actually there anymore. And so using these code options, you can actually hide your code. But here the code is still run, as you can see here. But if you, for instance, again, only want to show the code but do not run it, you could set eval to false. So F is just the abbreviation for false again. And now you see again there's no plot. And there are even more options. So for instance, if you were to load tidyverse, if you knit this document now, it's not evaluated, so you will only see the code. But if you do not set the evaluation option to false, then you will see that it will actually show you all the packages that were attached and all the conflicts, and you can easily get rid of that via the message option or the warning option, and then reknitting will get rid of that. This is just something I wanted to show you so that you're aware of that. Again, this is another way to customize the appearance of the document you create. Okay, let's move on to slides. So there is this so-called Sharingan package, which you can, if you have the corresponding package, so it's written with an X, it's written like that, then you could use this template here. And if you hit the OK button, then you will create, I can show you, there will be a lot of different outputs here, and you can actually just simply knit the document, and then you can explore how you can create slides on with this package, or what's the syntax of this package. But since I want to show you that anyway, I simply removed all of that. And yeah, what's great about this package is that you can make slides that actually also have a presenter mode. So as we'll see, again, these are just HTML files. So again, I can simply open this with my browser. But what's also great is I can switch into presentation mode and potentially hide some notes for me here. And I could clone this, so I have one not in presentation mode, and then if I switch through the slides, or in presentation mode switch through the slides, then the other one will automatically switch also back and forth. So this is kind of a great tool that you can use for presentations to hide notes in here. And you can again simply create all the content on the slides via R or R Markdown more specifically. So for instance, if you want to get a first headline onto the first slide, you could simply say use the same syntax as before and then reknit the document, and you will see here, okay, there's the headline now. If I copy and paste this, I could have that on my slides too. But as you can see here, I always had to reknit the document, which is sometimes a pain, especially if you're want to work in real time with your slides, you want to add content and so on, which is why the Sharingan package comes with an add-in, which you can access via this add-in button here. Once you have installed this package, you will see that there is something which is called the Infinite Moon Reader. If you click that, then some server is started, and then your viewer pane will always switch to where your cursor currently is. So here my cursor is on the first slide, on the first reader slide, so this is why the viewer pane will switch to here. If I click into the header now, it will switch to this to this here. You could of course change the header information. This is the same thing as in reports. You can use the same arguments in a report to, for instance, get your name into here, and here you could, I don't know, throw some new fancy title. And once you save the document, our Markdown will automatically be run and will show you what changed. So this is a great way to work with these slides. And so let's explore how we can actually create slides, because now you've only seen how to do headlines. So if you want to create a new slide, again, it's a new data format, so you will need a new syntax. So here, to get a new slide, you will have to add 3 of those dashed lines. And as you can see here now, this has the new lines now. And these I can customize, so I could say, okay, I want to always fill my slides from the middle. So this is why directly below these dashed lines I had to write class middle. You sometimes have to be careful. Here I've added a white space in here, and this is a bit tedious. If you don't know about it, this will actually only draw a line here and not make a new slide, so you'll have to be careful about this. Actually, it needs to, the whole line needs to end with the dashed symbols, and then you can specify the class and so on. And then it's the same thing as in all our Markdown documents. You can simply add code chunks. For instance, I don't want to use this ugly plot again. Let's just say it's loaded tidyverse, and from that do the classic displacements against highway mileage with jitter points. And this should be, yeah, as you can see here now, this is rerun again. And here's where you will definitely need code options, so you don't want to get the messages and the warning. Then you can rerun it again, and then you could, for instance, use another option, fig width to 10. You see your picture now is wider, and yeah, this is basically how you work with slides. You could add a new slides by the same idea, simply copy and paste this, or rewrite the dashed lines. And then you know what, I still need to show you how to get actually notes into presentation mode. So let's say we want to fill this with information on the plot now, because if I'm giving this presentation I might forget important stuff. So here I could take a list, which works with the Markdown syntax again. So I can simply create a list like this. Important and fact 1, and yeah, just I'll leave it like that. And if I open this now and switch into presentation mode, you will see that here all my slides are empty, my information, but here on this slide I actually can see my important fact, which is important, I guess. The point is, it's really neat. You can put notes in there, and this way you won't forget to mention all the important stuff you want to mention for, say, a specific visualization you plotted here. There are also some cool shortcuts, so you could add into this code chunk, you could add this symbol here, and it will automatically highlight the specific line for you. And yeah, so it's a really versatile versatile tool. And in the end, as I said, this is the outputs are HTML files again, and I can simply throw that to the internet or to some server, and then everyone can access my slides from there, which is a great way to share your information. But what's also great, you can also sometimes copy HTML text or HTML code from the internet. Say you're on YouTube and you want to get a specific video into your slides, so that you have the classical window from YouTube where you can hit play, and then it will be the video will be displayed within this frame. This is something which is run in HTML, and you can simply import it by clicking the share button on YouTube, and then there is a button that can actually give you the HTML code chunk for sharing that, and then you can simply copy and paste this. So for instance, let me get one code chunk here. So this is what it might look like now. And here, for instance, you will have you would import a video from Duck the Puck, which we'll come to in a second, or at the end of the video. I still need to show you something else, and then we can move on to Duck the Puck. I will tell you more about him. So the question now becomes, how do you get your stuff onto the internet? So you're saying, okay, all of that HTML stuff is great. I can apparently create all of these files easily from R. How do I share it with the internet now? And one way to do it is to use GitHub Pages. So I've set up my GitHub Pages account, which is simply your GitHub username. Your GitHub username .github.io. This would be your standard URL for your personal homepage, and you can simply set it up by creating a new repository on GitHub. And only thing you need to do is to name that repository according to that specific URL. So in my case, it would be my username.github.io. As you can see here, it will show me that this repository name has already been used. But in your case, you can obviously create this new repository. You need to make it public. You will need to add a README file, and then you can simply create the repository. And once you have done that, it will take a couple of seconds, but then your homepage is already set up. You can actually then go to username.github.io, and you will see a blank page. Of course, that's not really exciting, but still it's available. You have your own personal space on the internet now. And to fill it with life, you simply go to your repository. First of all, you can use a theme. So you go to settings in your repository, go to pages, and there you can simply change the theme. And as you've seen before, this is the theme I chose, but you could also use, I don't know, this one here or this one. Just take whatever you fancy and then select theme. Let me select that theme now. It's already set up, so I believe, maybe if I change it. No. I want to change it back. If it hasn't been set to a theme yet, then you will actually come to a commit message, and then you will need to commit the changes. And once that is committed, then you will can go back to your own website, and you will see that your homepage now is filled, actually looks like the theme you picked, and is filled with all of that information here. And this information, so that text, is actually then saved into the README file. And to change your homepage, you will only need to change your README file. You can do it online on GitHub, or simply clone the repository to your computer with for instance, Gitkraken, and then you can make changes and push it to your repository, or as I said, simply change the README file on GitHub itself. And as you can see here, so this is really simple website. I've only set up this web page, dummy page, for this course here, or for this video. As you can see here, all of that text is simply this simple R Markdown code. It's only this is the classical header symbol. This is here you can see the list symbol. So these are the list items, and this is the classic shortcut to have a hyperlink to some website displayed here. So for instance, I could click on here and it will send me to my Flex dashboard I created earlier. And as you can see here, the links to that specific content is actually only this data/Flex dashboard, so the name of the file. And if you look into my repository, it's all public, you can of course do that, then you will see all of that data is actually only in the repository. So if I go into the data directory in my repository, you will find Flex dashboard example HTML. So this is actually the file I'm opening when I refer to it, and this shows you how easy it is to share your HTML file with the world. Simply set up your GitHub Pages account, and then into that repository simply push your file. And once that is done, your files will immediately become available via your link / data, or whatever you want to call the folder. You could also call it, I don't know, my stuff. So then it would be your URL / my stuff / and then the HTML file's name .html. So this is the same stuff every time, and that way you can easily set up links, and then you can put these links into your README files, and that way set up a very simple homepage. Of course, there's more stuff to do, but here I only show you the very basics, so you can share your stuff with the world. And yeah, that's basically it. As I've said before, we still need to cover Doug the Pug. So if you don't know him, he's a dog from Nashville, Tennessee, and probably the most famous dog. If you look onto his Twitter account, you will see that this dog has 2.6 million followers. And also apparently there's this Mitchell's movie where this dog now played the dog. I mean, it's an animated, this dog here is animated in the movie, and here you can see the actual dog Doug. In a studio, he actually synchronized all the sounds, all the barks, all the snores, and so on. And this dog became famous from, on each day, posting a picture of whatever, I don't know. I'm a big fan, but I still cannot describe actually what is the point. It's just fun. And in any case, why am I telling you this? Well, as always, I need to show you a dinosaur. And since last week I didn't have time to show you one, I decided to make it a majestic as pug. And this is why I showed you how to implement a YouTube video into your slides. And then you can, oh, it's with sound actually. Then you can look at Doug the Pug here. Look at the dinosaur. Yeah. So that's all I wanted to. Yeah, majestic. That's all I wanted to cover. And with that, I think this video became already way too long. If you have any questions, let me know, and then if not, you will see each other in the next video. Bye!